Hello. Welcome to our third day of Week 5 Distance Learning, Module 9, Week 3. We've been reading How Food Gets from the Farm to Our Tables. Let's review our week in reading. We've been reading from It's Our Garden, From Seeds to Harvest in a School Garden. This week we practiced the reading strategy, monitor, and clarify. Remember, to remain focused on the reading, we can use this strategy, which means I constantly think about what I'm reading and I make sure that I understand what I'm reading. If I get stuck on a word, I can read it again. Sometimes I might misread the word. I can also look before the sentence where the word is used, in the sentence where the word is used, or after, in order to find context clues. These clues help me know what the word means. When I think I know what the word means, I can read the sentence using that definition. And if the sentence makes sense, I probably inferred correctly. If it doesn't make sense, or if I'm still having trouble, I can look up the word in a dictionary or in a glossary. If I was reading and I suddenly find I don't understand what I'm reading, but it's not just a word, it's a whole section, I can make notes to help think about what it is exactly that confuses me. I can also think about what I know and if that can help me figure out what the text is trying to say. A great strategy is to reread the section and look for details that you might have missed. And finally, study the images and other text and graphic features. These also will support the ideas that you're reading about. So remember, monitor and clarify means I constantly check myself as I read to make sure I understand what it is I'm reading. And when I don't understand, I stop and clarify. We also learned about using text structure, which helps us understand the text at a deeper level. The text structure is how the information is organized. In informational text, it's often organized sequentially because they either present dates or steps that should go in a certain order. When I'm trying to find out what the text structure is, I can look for transition words and I can also consider the author's purpose. So, as you're reading today, you will reread the text and check your understanding often by thinking about what you just read, rereading, or clarifying when you aren't sure or you don't understand something. Here's a thinking map that can help us view what that's going to look like. First, I read and I ask myself, does it make sense? Are my predictions confirmed? Am I getting the important points? If I'm not, then I have to go back and figure out where is it that my mind started to wander, or where is it that I didn't understand the text anymore. Then I can problem solve using the words before, in, and after the sentence. I can also make connections to what I've read, learned, or done before. I can try to imagine what the text is trying to say. I can speed up or slow down. And I can organize my thoughts either by taking notes or annotating. When I'm checking my understanding, I can say, do I have the big idea? The big idea is the central idea. Can I express it in my own words? When I read something, I should be able to tell someone what I'm reading about. And can I connect it to what I know and what I do? Especially in math, when I read a word problem, I need to be able to connect what I read to how I'm going to solve the problem. It's similar with other reading. I have to be able to use what I just read and apply it. One way I can apply it is by writing it. So if I can do all these things, I've checked myself to make sure that I understood what I read. What transition or linking words do you see? Let's keep that in mind as we continue reading today. Also, what did the author think I already knew? And based on what you read, what plant could the boy on page 337 be pulling from the ground? You will find these answers on these 2 pages. On page 338, you will continue to look for transition words. And finally, at the end of the text, there's a photograph that helps us understand the structure of the text. Now you will take the quiz on Schoology. The following will be the questions. What happens to the food scraps that students collect for meals and snacks? The author says that the garden is flourishing in the spring. What does flourishing mean? Which plants are the sisters in a Three Sisters garden? How does the author present things in the passage? That's asking you about the text structure. What is the passage mostly about? That one is asking us for the central idea. Finally, you will have an opportunity to write the final draft of your instruction manual paragraph. And you can either enter it as number 6 on the quiz, or you can write it on a paper and for number 6 type in Remind or Class Dojo, or whichever way you're going to send me your final copy. Let's look at the writing. As you know, we already wrote a hook yesterday to start our paragraph. We also wrote sentences describing the tasks that occur during each season. Finally, we wrote a concluding sentence. So today, we are going to revise. If we look back at the list of requirements, it says, write your instruction manual that describes the tasks that must be done in the garden during each season. Make sure your instruction manual introduces the topic, summarizes the garden tasks that happen during all 4 seasons, is organized in a logical way, uses transition words like then, next, and after between topics, using linking words like also, another, and, or more to connect related ideas. So now you're going to see if there are any sentences that we should add to clarify your writing. Are there any sentences we should remove? Did we repeat anything? Do any words need to be rearranged, or any sentences? Maybe it makes more sense in a different sequence. And change words to make them clear, specific, and interesting. Try to stay away from common words. So one thing that we noticed in our morning Zoom meeting on Tuesday was that this paragraph is missing a hook. So I might start this paragraph by saying, have you ever seen a beautiful yard? Or maybe I can say, do you wonder what kind of work it takes to win Yard of the Month? Then I said, in the beginning, the trees are shedding leaves. Most of the tasks I do in my yard during fall, which I added during fall because it made more sense, I didn't say what the season was, have to do with raking leaves, putting them into bags, and sweeping them. I forgot to say what we're sweeping. We're sweeping leaves of sidewalks, driveways, and gutters. During winter, the chores are similar, but you also have to wrap your pipes to protect them from the cold. So I had a typo there. I wrote and instead of are. In winter, since I already said it was winter up here, I don't need to say it again. So I can just say there are sometimes storms that cause brittle branches to break. So it is important to pick them up and bind them so they can be picked up by your municipal waste service. When spring arrives, there's a lot to do. First, check for damage such as cracks in your pipes, window sealant, and window screens. These need to be repaired. Check your trees and bushes to see which branches need to be pruned. And I changed that into a period because when it went on, it was more than one complete thought and it was too long. When summer storms arrive, the branches will not damage your dwelling. Next, you have to prepare your flower beds and garden with soil, mulch, I forgot my comma in my list of items, and fertilizer. Then you will be ready to plant the new seeds. Finally, summer arrives. It is important to water your grass, flower beds, and garden. This will mean, and actually I'm saying I should write this means. I should have crossed out the will as well. This means you will have to mow, because I don't want to say will 2 times, your lawn more often, and sweep up the grass clippings. Instead of saying the grass clippings right after I just said it, I can say they. They can be placed in the compost pile. Be sure to stay on top of the weeds. That means don't wait until you have flowering weeds that are going to seed. If you allow them to flower and go to seed, you will have even more weeds next year. There is a lot of work that goes into taking care of your yard, but it's worth it so you have a natural and safe space to enjoy. That last sentence is my concluding sentence. I left the reader with the thought or image of having a natural and safe space. So I checked my punctuation and I checked my capitalization. Every time a sentence starts, I have to put a capital letter. Every time I write the word I as a pronoun, I also have to make it a capital. When I said something with a lot of expression that if I don't stay on top of the weeds, I'll have even more weeds next year, I used an exclamation mark, and I used commas in between words that were in a list, like soil, mulch, and fertilizer. Finally, sometimes when you say transitions, like when I say during winter, you need a comma after that. So that means I just started pointing out some of my transition words. In the beginning is a transition phrase. Then I say some linking words, but you also have to wrap your pipes to protect them from the cold. So it is important. So is a linking word. When spring arrives, that's a transition. I'm saying that the time has changed. First, that's a linking word because I'm talking about spring. When summer storms arrive, now I've changed another season. Next, that's a linking word. I'm still talking about summer. Then, and finally. Then. Those are linking words. When I say finally, summer arrives, that's a transition. I'm telling you that it's not spring anymore. Now that I've revised and edited my paragraph, I'm ready to publish it or write the final copy. I can do that by entering it as number 6 in Schoology on the quiz, or you can take a picture of your notebook and send me the picture through ClassDojo or Remind. Just make sure you tell me where to look on the quiz in Schoology. So let's review. Today, you're going to reread It's Our Garden, answer the questions in the quiz, revise and edit your instruction manual paragraph on how to start a class garden, and either type it into the quiz as number 6 or take a picture of it and send me the picture. Don't forget to send me the picture. Complete 20 minutes of iStation. Once you finish these things, you'll be ready to enjoy your weekend. As always, let me know if you have any questions or if I can help. You can call me, you can send me a text in Reminder ClassDojo, or you can even send me a text on my cell phone number. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this week, and we'll see you again next week.